Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Foodie Boxes webinar. My name is Emily. I'm the Senior Campaign Lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce you to Maya and Brian, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that I'm coming to you from today. Birchal's based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. As I mentioned, today I'm joined by Maya and Brian from My Foodie Box. Birchal's working with them on their upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. So, a few of you might be a little bit unfamiliar with what crowdsourced funding or CSF is, or you might even know it as equity crowdfunding, but it's a relatively new form of fundraising here in Australia, which allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors as well as wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, and often that's their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for My Foodie Box's offer. And I do want to remind everybody who's attending today that the discussion and information in this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice or a recommendation to invest. So I would implore you to please do your own research and always consider the general CSF risk warning and offer document before investing. If you do need any more information, you can head over to birchal.com or shoot us any questions at support@birchal.com. Now, how today's session is going to run, I'll hand over in a minute to Maya and Brian, who are going to take us through a great presentation, which will be approximately 15 to 20 minutes long, all about My Foodie Box, where they've come from, and what they're looking to achieve with this capital raise. We'll then switch to a Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble. So if you've got any questions during today's session, please pop it in the Q&A box as we go along, and we'll endeavour to answer all those questions at the end of the presentation. We're also recording today's session, so if you do need to jump off early, or if you have a friend who you think might be interested in this investment offer, a recording will be sent around. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Maya and Brian.
Thank you so much, Emily, and hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I wanted to thank you so much for your time because I know everyone is busy. We'll keep it very, very short because I think the most interesting part is really the questions that you might have around the company and why we're doing this. So I'll start with our first slide, which, as you can see, is the team at My Foodie Box with all our children. Those are really our children, not models. And the reason why I started with this is because I wanted you to see who the team was and why we created My Foodie Box. So you can see that it's mainly women. We all started My Foodie Box pretty much around the same time. So you have Tamika, who's our dietitian, Brooke and Yuki, who are recipe developers, Sarah, who is our operations manager. It's really driven by a passion that we all have for food and good food, good nutrition. And we're continuing this really for our children to make sure that they are able to have access to good food as well, that they're getting educated along the way too. So the focus is really on the local ingredients, where to source them from, and cooking it from scratch. So I wanted to start with what are the common problems that we are facing today. The main one that we probably all know about is the food waste in Australia. So each year in Australia, there's about 7.6 million tons of food that is being wasted in Australia. That is huge. That costs the Australian economy $36.6 billion each year. And it's a huge problem, especially now that we're talking about cost of living crisis, because it's really interesting. There's been so many research showing that the more you actually spend grocery shopping, the more you end up throwing food in the bin. The other aspect that we don't talk about enough, in my mind, is the nutrition aspect and the health issues in Australia, to the point where unhealthy eating has been labeled as the new smoking in Australia, and it's huge. You know, when I was looking at the stats, and I can see that 94% of Australian adults don't meet the recommended serves of vegetables. That makes 67% of the Australian adults that are either overweight or obese. It's a huge number, and this is costing the Australian economy a huge amount of money as well. So what can we do about it? Meal kits. Meal kits is how we solve this issue, and in particular, my foodie box. So to answer the question of the food waste, we provide everything in the exact quantity that you need for each recipe. So everything is pre-portioned. There's zero food waste, basically. The second aspect is that we've got an in-house dietitian, Tamika, and she approves all the meals before once. So basically we test the recipes at least 3 times. Our recipe developers create the recipe, then it goes to the panel of testers, and then it goes to the dietitian. We make sure that all the ingredients that we use are full of nutrients. We make sure that there's at least 2 to 3 different variety of vegetables in each one of our dishes. We make sure that the protein size matches with the dietary guidelines. So it's a very important aspect of the business. And the other important aspect, and something that we were very strong about, both Brian and I, was that it had to support local farmers. So we wanted to have this direct farm to plate approach, and which is why we're partnering with over 80 different farmers and producers now across WA and Victoria. You would like to add anything, Brian?
Look, I'll add one thing there. Prior to my foodie box, I could boil an egg. That was about my repertoire of cooking. And so I was used very much in the early days as the crash test dummy for recipes. And I now can cook really amazing, delicious meals from scratch by just following the step-by-step program. So it's the recipe cards. So it really is being dumb-proof so that anybody can do it, and you're amazed what you can cook. I'll add some more to that a bit later
on. The next slide is about our journey, so I'll let Brian, our CFO, talk about it.
Yeah. Now, Maya and I, husband and wife team, obviously, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this journey because it's been one we have learned so many lessons on over the last 6 years. When we commenced trading in 2019, and really it was a full year before that Maya and I were developing a lot of systems and background to this. So you can read the dot points yourself as to where those go, but let me sort of give you a bit of a flavour of this journey, and obviously open to any questions that you have to answer those as we, if you have any questions. This journey has been, this is a food tech business. And the underlying technology that drives this business is incredibly important and complicated. And we have it all sorted. We're onto our 4th iteration of our e-commerce platform. Now, some people call the e-commerce platform the website. I always find that the word website tends to underestimate exactly what it does in this world. So it's a very complicated e-commerce platform that not only is our portal to the world that allows our customers to come on and subscribe and order their box each week and their recipes and their meals, but it also then allows our procurement team to do all the ordering and our logistics teams to get it all out to our customers all on time. Now, we've scaled this up and tested it fully, and we know that we can go to scale, that we can produce a quality offering. When we were producing quite a large volume just here in WA, less than 1% error rate, so which is remarkable and very important because customer service is critical in all of this. So the e-commerce platform, 4th iteration, really amazing what it does, and it provides a platform that allows us to launch into a whole lot of different ways, not only just new jurisdictions very easily. All we have to do is add new postcodes and we can then provide to those, but also new offerings, which Maya will speak to a little bit more along the way. Now, as you can see, we raised money in 2022. Look, the lessons we learnt in all of this, and we made some mistakes, and we'll be absolutely open with regards to all of this. Timing is so critical in business, and we got some timing very wrong in 22, 23. And I think the next slide will show you some information that'll sort of start to give you a bit of a flavour for that, and I'll talk to that as well. But what we are very supremely confident of is, one, we've learnt those lessons, and two, we now have the timing right. We've always known we needed to scale up and move into the Eastern Seaboard. It's the largest market in Australia, and we need that scale and that volume. Two things we required in terms of timing. One, looking at the economic conditions, and every day we hear about the cost of living crisis. It's real. It is absolutely real, and it has really hurt the sector over last half of 22 and 23. And but finally now there are signs of it improving, and all the projections from the experts are continued growth in this space, from the $1 billion per annum revenue that it's currently got in Australia, up to 1.9 billion by 2029, I think it is, the estimate. So it's got some good growth over the coming years. So we think the timing's right. The other aspect that was really important in our timing was we have been talking to many players in this space, lots of little ones like us on the Eastern Seaboard. When we finally sat down with Billy Green from Make Out Meals, we knew we'd found the right partner to come in and to merge with, acquire, and that relationship, what he has created there, just fits so perfectly with us. The time was right, and it now gives us that infrastructure and that access to that marketplace in a very small way, but in a very scalable way. And that's what we're like.
I think it's really about that pivot as well from...
True. Oh, okay, that's a very good point. So the lessons we've learned is you've got to be nimble, you've got to be watching the market, watching all the external environments very closely, and you've got to pivot quickly when you need to. The whole e-commerce space is one that is developing at a rapid rate of knots. It's exciting. There are enormous opportunities in it, but make sure you also don't get caught by some of the mistakes that you can make in it. So you do have to pivot quickly and watch the economic conditions. We are very good at that. We are lean and mean and hungry.
Thank you.
Right, so I mentioned this in my when I was on the last slide. The graph on the left, I don't know if it's your left or my left, but their left, the meal kit market size. It's a little bit unrepresentative in that 2022, the first 6 months of 2022 was growing at the same rate as it was from 2019, 2021. And so I think the actual representation should have this going up way higher for you to do it in 6 months increments, and then coming down a lot lower from the second half of 22 into 23. It dropped. And our anecdotal evidence of the market over that time was that it was really, really hurt. As evidence of that, for example, HelloFresh shut their new Butte, enormous, very expensive facility in Victoria late last year, November, December, and laid off 250 people, and consolidated back to a single Eastern States distribution hub out of Sydney, which they're servicing all the Eastern Seaboard from now. You don't do that unless your market's significantly declined, and it had. And certainly, we use a lot of the same suppliers, so we've got a good look into numbers, and numbers have dropped, as they have for the whole sector, as for us. And hence I'm going back to the timing of it. We've weathered a very difficult time in the market. We've learned so many lessons in the process, and now we can see there are opportunities, and those opportunities are not only in our core business of meal kits, which is a solid business in its own right, but in the other offerings that then easily align to the platform that we've created, the database of customers that we have and that is growing, and that we have a trusted relationship of delivering food into their kitchen. So we want to use that, treat it respectfully, but use that relationship to give them other things that they will want. The kids' lunchbox is just a great example, but we have other offerings in the coming up, and I'll let Maya speak to those.
Yep, okay. I think, for us, scaling in WA was so important in order for us to then test the market and go over east. So that was really the priority.
And test our systems.
Yeah, the systems, the numbers, all of it. And we've proven that we can scale very quickly. And we are very confident that we can do that over east as well. So yeah, Brian was talking about the expansion plan a bit. So earlier this year, we acquired another meal kit company called Makeout Meals that maybe most of you would be familiar with.
1st of January, it completed.
Yes. So that is me with Billy Green from Makeout Meals, and that enabled us to service New South Wales, Victoria, and the ACT, as well as WA, which is very exciting. We've had some really, really positive response in those 3 states, and definitely a lot of demand for meal kits there. The second thing that we've got in the pipeline that we're hoping to launch very, very soon, it's 95% there, there's just a bit of testing to be done, is the app. So we've been working on a mobile app for the past 18 months, and we're very confident that we'll be able to launch that this year. The reason why the app is so important is because what we are selling is convenience at the end of the day. So having an app makes it even easier for our consumers to be able to select their meals, skip their week, or select a different product, for example. But from a marketing point of view, it will give us a lot of data on consumer behavior, and that can be used as part of our marketing strategy as well.
If I could just add one more thing there with regards to Billy. Not only do we just fit with Billy and his team so well, Billy is very entrepreneurial, started Makeout Meals in 2020, and the number of people, again, probably similar in age to you, mid-30s, late 30s, the number of people that have relevant, good experience in this sector are few and far between. And, he has learned so many of the same lessons as us along this journey. And so it's just so good to have another party with so much good input and knowledge about this space and this sector, who lives and breathes it as well, on the team.
Yeah. So Brian touched a bit on the other opportunities that we're working on. Some of them have been launched already. The kids' lunchbox, you might have seen this on the Today Show or on the news. We've had a big campaign around this. This is a personal project of mine that I've always wanted to do, and I launched it actively this year, mainly because our eldest daughter started kindy this year, and she's so fussy. She is so fussy with food, and we thought, hang on, what are we going to make for her? How are we going to make sure that she's getting the nutrients that she needs every single time at lunch? So that's how we came up with the idea of doing a meal kit, but for the kids' lunchbox. It's a product that was actively launched at the beginning of the year with the Back to School campaign, and we've received huge positive response around it. So we're looking at developing even more menus as we keep going, basically. And the marketplace is a project that we've been working on for the past 6 months now. It's basically a marketplace for us to start off offering a wider range of products, being grocery items, household items, wine, cooking utensils, so things that you might need in your everyday life, and for people who don't want to go to do their grocery shopping anymore and who are looking for a trusted supplier who would already have a look at all the food labels for you, because let's be honest, there's a lot of misrepresented
I'd use the word bullshit, but anyway.
Well, yeah.
On food labelling, we're so disappointed with Big Food. Big Food is like big tobacco in my mind, and it'll come back and bite it in the butt one day. But they put anything on there to make it look healthy and organic and all those things when it's just not good for you.
Yeah. I think you really saw that mainly when we started to look at food for our babies and our children.
Our babies, absolutely.
It's scary. It's
I don't know if anybody
scary.
saw 7:30 report last Thursday night. Go back and have a look at it on iView if you can. Frightening.
Yeah. So this is the reason why we are here. We are obviously really passionate about food and about what we do, but it's also about having a trusted partner that people can go to and say, okay, is this really healthy? And because no one has time to do all of this research. And my dietitian, for example, she's got a master in dietetics. Not everyone has that. Not everyone knows how to read a food label and know, okay, is this good or is this bad? So this is what we are here for. We are here to select what is good and supply it for our customers, because the belief has always been we wouldn't put in our box anything that we wouldn't feed ourselves or feed to our children. And the other things that we wanted to offer as well in our marketplace are meal kits. So our regular meal kits, but without a subscription. So we know that some people prefer to just have 1 or 2 meals, and then they might prefer to cook themselves, or they have a very busy week, so they'd rather just not have a subscription, basically. So, which is why the marketplace we thought would be a good.
Yeah, I'm very mindful that we're going a bit over time.
Yeah.
But look, the accountant in me, just so you know, we do watch all of the financial information behind these decisions. One of the things that I love about this whole business model is that the working capital requirements are very low. We only supply to our customers things that have been ordered that week, and we get them from our suppliers literally in the days leading up to them being delivered out. So we have virtually zero stock holding at any time. Packaging is probably one of our biggest stock holdings. So we're very mindful of that, even with marketplace, that the supply chains that we have are dynamic, fast, and supply without us having to have big working capital tied up in stock.
So that's it. That's it in terms of our presentation today. So I think we'll move to the Q&A, unless you have something else that you wanted to add.
I guess we're just excited by where we are right now, to be finally launching in a meaningful way into the Eastern Seaboard. This is very exciting, and now we just want to scale up over there in a sensible way, in a manageable way, but start to take our little piece of this very, very, very large market and to just keep growing that.
Thank you so much. It was an awesome presentation. Really appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box. I just wanted to address, obviously, there's a lot of meal kits in the market, and yours is very specific about having whole foods and keeping it super healthy. How do you ensure that you stay ahead of your competition?
Can I, 2 parts to that question. The first thing I do is, if you are listening to this and you are in an area that we deliver to, the best due diligence you can do is order a box, because we are so proud of what we put out every week, and we know that when you tasted our recipes and you've seen the quality of the ingredients and the quality of the presentation, just everything about it, that will be enough to see why we distinguish ourselves from our competitors. In terms of that, so quality of recipes, quality of food, quality of presentation, packaging, sustainability. Now, there's a lot of greenwashing in the marketplace. We get that. But we are so focused on all of our packaging being either recyclable, reusable, or compostable.
And that's a non-negotiable for us.
So we focus on that. We, even to the point that we have a milkman service for our box where we go and collect it and bring it back, because we've discovered, and this is actually good for business, we get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 uses out of a box before we throw them away. So so why would you just waste that? And so it's good business. There's a little bit of additional cost in collecting them back, but we're already going to that spot, and if we're just dropping one off, we just pick up the old one. So not that much more.
But for the consumer as well, it's good, because they don't have to dispose it, take care of all of this packaging themselves, which can be reused.
Yeah, and they can feel good that it is reused. And you can look on the bottom of the box and see how many times it's been reused, because we keep a track of it more, so we can monitor. So yeah, look, it's just lots of little things that I think it's because we're the only Australian-owned national player now. The others are big multinationals, and there's always going to be a difference in the outlook as to how we run our business as to how they run theirs. Customers are very important to us, and we treat them accordingly.
Absolutely. So obviously right now you work with a lot of farmers and you do that direct farm to table approach. What happens if something happens in the supply chain? Maybe there's environmental factors that affect the produce that's coming to you. How do you plan to mitigate those problems?
How do we address that? Yeah, that happens a lot when you deal with fresh produce. I remember there was a certain time of the year where the cauliflower price quadrupled, and no one saw it coming. So it was a very, very interesting month where we had so many recipes with cauliflower. So, so this is where I've got this amazing team behind me who are chefs, who are dietitians, who know the fresh produce by heart. So either what we do is, okay, we speak to all our supply chain, how many cauliflower, for example, can we get? Okay, if it's X number, how many recipes have we got and how many realistically we can actually supply? So we'll probably select one or two recipes who, okay, we'll keep the cauliflower there, but then for the other recipes, chefs, quickly, let's have a look at what other vegetable we can replace it with, making sure that it's still seasonal, making sure that it's still within budget, and then we rework the recipes, we test it again, and then we do the recipe cards again, and then we send that to the customers, and they get a notification as well.
Yeah, and just on that really good team we've got. So Sarah, who's in charge of our operations, transitioned from the kitchen out to operations. She's a chef. Yuki's a chef. Their knowledge of food is amazing, and we have a very experienced procurement team. So, and we make sure we've always got lots of alternative sources usually. So, you have to have backups and backups and backups, plan Bs and plan Cs, because it can be variable. You have a flood somewhere or a drought somewhere, and suddenly bushfire. The things that can come out and suddenly take something off the table, literally. It's like, well, okay. So yeah, we're alive to those, and 6 years of doing this, we're good at dealing with it.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So I know you've just recently introduced lunch boxes as an option. Are you looking at expanding with new products and new offerings to your community?
Always, 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 always. The thing that we really, really wanted to do when we raised the funds was definitely to become an NDAS approved as well. Yeah.
There's just some obvious fit to that market that we provide, so that's something but that realistically is a 6 to 12 month process to gain NDAS approved. So we will go down that path.
But yeah, no, we're looking at breakfast kits. We are looking at lunch kits as well that are not just for kids. Having a more open grocery item store as well that's still going to be online. So we are constantly innovating. And that's the great thing about our e-commerce platform is that, yes, the core business is meal kits, but we can do so much more than just meal kits as well, and looking at the trends and looking at what's working and what is not working.
Yeah, because we've built the infrastructure in here with the supply chain, with the customers, so that's why we can just add other things to it that make sense and are profitable to do that. So we're constantly looking. And one thing Maya's very good at is she watches the international space around meal kits. The US has probably always been 2, 3, 4 years in front of us. Yeah. The UK, they've got some very good operators over there. So we watch those very carefully as to the things that they are innovating and doing. There's no point in reinventing wheels if you don't have to. So we go and look, see what they're doing, and then try and reverse engineer and see how are they making that happen. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you get your ideas for new products from your community, is that right? And then I guess if you're going to bring on new shareholders, they'll kind of become that bouncing board that you can get some new ideas from. Is that what you're hoping to achieve?
Yes, absolutely. Very funny, actually. I had a phone call yesterday from a customer who wanted to give me some feedback around the kids' lunchbox, and then she was giving me ideas also on what else we could be doing. And so I've got a meeting now set up with the team to see how we can improve that and how we can create other products. So we're constantly looking for feedback, because that's how we create our products. Absolutely.
Brilliant. So obviously you're a product-based business. Are you looking at offering rewards in your offer this year?
We are. So look, in terms of the crowdsource funding offer, that's the one you're referring to? Yes.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So two things. Those investors who want and do invest $25,000 or more will receive my Foodie Box subscription for the whole year. So they'll get 12 months of
free grocery.
Great food, great groceries. And everyone that invests $2,500 or more will go in the draw to win one of those. So a year of free food, which we think's
That's awesome.
good.
And so going forward with potential investors, how often do you intend on communicating with those investors?
It's a very good question. I think we'd do a minimum of quarterly updates to our shareholders. But what I'd also say is that, as Mike pointed out, we're an open door in terms of, if you have a question, please just reach out. If you have an issue, if you have input, if you're reading something in the marketplace you think is relevant to what we're doing, we would love to hear from you, because we are busy and we could miss something, and you might have raised something that's important. We'd appreciate it. So look, open door. Come back to us if you need more information. If you want something else, please reach out. But we will be doing at least quarterly updates so that you can see the progress of our growth and expansion and development of those offerings and what we're up to.
Awesome. So you've obviously recently expanded into new territories from just being in WA and basing yourselves over there. What was the strategy when you were branching out into other areas?
Into the new jurisdictions in terms of New South Wales, Victoria and ACT. Look, we always knew from the day dot when we started this business that this business was one that needed to be scalable and really is optimal at scale. So it always was on our strategy and expectation that we would be trading in the Eastern Seaboards. Really, it was really about getting the timing right for that to occur. And so we've been getting our house in order over here in Western Australia, which we now have in order, making sure that we've got everything ready to go that can drive this. And we've got all of that. We've now got the right partner in Victoria. So it was really, I guess, the timing all coming together at the right time. We've got the right information, infrastructure, and team, supply chain. And now it's just rolling it out in a measured, careful, but continuous way.
Brilliant. So obviously you have a lot of customers and you therefore would have a lot of their personal data. How do you ensure that is kept secure?
Okay.
It's an IT question.
It's an IT question, yes. So our e-commerce platform is custom-based, but for the customer data itself, we use a software called Strait, and that is the most secure in terms of customer details, in terms of credit card details. So there's absolutely zero risk there. We did think about holding that customer base in our own custom-built software, but we were not willing to take that risk because obviously there's so much more into it with cybersecurity, and we've seen with so many of the big companies as well.
They've got it wrong.
They got it wrong. So we're very, very big on cybersecurity, absolutely. Yeah. So it is 100% safe.
Yeah, Stripe is one of the large payment portals around the world, and they effectively take that risk, but they manage it very well. We've never had an issue in 6 years.
Brilliant. Do you have any customer stories that you can share and how that might have impacted their lives for the better?
Well, mine. So, I eat way, way, way better than I did previously in terms of pre my Foodie Box. That's a good question. Look, we have some incredibly loyal customers, like, that have been with us pretty much the whole journey, and we are so grateful for them. So, what's the biggest number of boxes? I think we've had some celebrating some milestones recently of how many hundreds of.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people ordering like 400, 500, 600 boxes from us
over that period of time, right? An enormous number. I mean, more than what we have ourselves, because, again, full disclosure, we tend to probably get it every second week, maybe 2 out of 3 weeks, because basically it's just an accumulation, and you go, okay, no, pause it for this week, like we paused our box this week.
Yeah.
Because we have enough, and we actually inherited somebody else's box. So
no, actually, you know what? The great story, Priscilla, when we bumped into one of our customers in a shopping centre, and she was telling us about her 2 kids who are, how old are they?
Now.
Yeah.
8 and 10, I think.
8 and 10, something like this. Anyway, and so they get my Foodie Box on a regular basis. And there was one night where the parents couldn't cook. They just couldn't make it happen for whatever reason. They were too busy. So they said to their kids, we'll do Macca's. And the kids went, no, we want my Foodie Box. And that is a win.
Over McDonald's? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, a kid saying that over McDonald's is unbelievable.
Yeah. So it was such a great thing to hear for us. The mum was saying how the kids really enjoy cooking as well with them. They enjoy the whole experience, but they mainly enjoy testing different things and things that they probably wouldn't have tried themselves if it was just the parents giving it to them.
Yeah. Just the other thing I'd say too, if you've got some teenage children and you want to give them some kitchen skills and some skills in life, set them up on this. One, they can pick things that they like, so they're going to be more invested in perhaps then undertaking it themselves because they've picked recipes they want to do. But it will start to give them some basic skills that unfortunately are lacking too often for too many in the current generation. So, we really like that educational aspect to it. And just on the education piece, one thing that we and our whole sector have not done well to date, and that I really am on a mission this year to improve, and that is this perception that meal kits are expensive as opposed compared to grocery shopping. And it comes down to I touched on at the beginning. It's food waste. If you actually look at the cost of what you're getting for us and the fact that you throw nothing out at the end of the week, and we're going to do some specific research about this, which we will release because we've done some in the past. We know that we are not expensive. In fact, we are actually better priced than normal grocery shopping. So just an education piece that we've got to get out there, because the convenience, you're not actually paying for it. It's just a misperception.
Sorry, my cat decided to make an appearance. Apologies about that. So obviously you've got the option of doing a whole heap of fundraising. It could be debt funding, it could be venture capital. Why did you choose to go down the equity crowdfunding route?
Well, it's interesting because, as you said at the beginning of this presentation, it's a very new space. And, I've been around business a long time, so this was an education to me. So we watched a couple of other recent crowdfunders on Birchal.
Billy as well from Make Up Meals was the one who actively suggested that we go Birchal.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. So Billy did around 2 or 3 years ago on Birchal. And then we watched some other players over here, Old Young's, Dirty Clean Food. And Dirty Clean Food has been a supplier of ours since the day we started. We've had such a close relationship. They hold so many of the same values in terms of the quality of their food,
the belief of the product,
the whole regenerative farming. So, we're very close to them. And we watched them, Jay Albany, the MD in there, and we had many discussions with him. And they just all said good things, that this is a worthwhile process to go down, and sort of all just fell in place. So I guess it was a few things that sort of led us to this point.
And the team at Birchal also makes it very easy.
Thought so.
Well, can I say, absolutely, just to give you a plug, anybody who's thinking about it, you guys have been so organised and, laying it out, patient, and, just helping you through what would otherwise be quite a complicated process. You simplify it, you've broken it down into nice bite-sized chunks, and you just sort of follow the process, and
here we are.
The offer document's slightly painful. Warning, everyone. It's prospectus-like, so there's a lot of information in there, and when that is live, 28th, I think it's going to be live. Please read it fully, because we put a lot of work into that, and it contains a lot of valuable information.
100%.
But it's a requirement of the law. We've done it, but it's those are never fun things. But the rest of it's actually remarkably well, very easy.
Yeah, I think you learn a lot about your business through putting something together like that. It is really tricky. And then you also learn about your customer a lot. And I think going through equity crowdfunding, getting new shareholders on that you might never have been able to have on your cap table, you've got these ambassadors who are really rooting for your business. And that's a great thing to have.
Absolutely. Well, but that's a really good point. So that hence we really would like anybody that's thinking about investing, please order a box, and then we want you to spread that to your network. Go out and be a part of the team and see why we love it so much.
That's it. I think we've gone through all of our questions today, but if anybody does have any additional questions, you can jump onto my Foodie Box's Birchal profile. There is a message button, so you can get in touch with the team directly. And if you've got any questions relating to equity crowdfunding or how to invest through the Birchal platform, just reach out to support@birchal.com. But if you haven't expressed interest already, please do so over on the Birchal website at birchal.com, and you'll be able to be kept up to date for when the offer does go live to the public, so you can be first to invest. But I want to say thank you so much to Mai and Brian for your time today. It's been incredible seeing how you've shaped this business and what you're looking to achieve with this raise, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Emily,
Thanks,
and
Emily.
thank you everyone for being here today.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye.